Good morning, everyone. We are a group who went to Soomaa National Park, and today we're going to share our experience of the travel to the park with you. Then we're also going to talk more precisely about the results of our field trip and the research focus. And we're also going to present the set of solutions that we came up with and to discuss more precisely the solution that, in our perspective, is more feasible and attractive for tourists. So we are a group of 6 people. Ekaterina, me from Russia, Leah from United States, Giovanni from Italy, Zunair from Pakistan, Tyro from Estonia, and Evgenia from Russia. So our general task was an overall improvement of touristic experience in Estonia, and making a small step back. In one of the first classes of the course, we're giving a task to conduct some trial research among the tourists in Tallinn, where we actually found out that the majority of tourists never leave Tallinn. And we were truly interested in how to enhance their experience, and we decided to research a little bit more about particularly nature parks and hiking possibilities in Estonia. And we were mainly focusing on Western Europeans as one of the biggest shares of hikers in Europe, which was also confirmed during our field trip. So it turned out that actually all our group members did like hiking, and despite our shared love for nature, it was pretty hard to decide on where to go. At a certain point of time, we were choosing between going to Saaremaa Islands and Soomaa National Park, which is the natural preservation of bogs in Estonia, one of the biggest ones. And as I spoiled in the first slide, we did went to Soomaa National Park. And after researching some Instagram posts and reading some Visit Estonia articles, we also discovered that there are plenty of activities to do, such as, for example, hiking, canoeing, mushroom and berry picking. And once we were there, we were basically collecting our information through interviews. In total, we collected 8 interviews, which come from 3 solo travelers interviews and 5 couple travelers. They're from Germany, Spain, France, and Russia. And we also did one shadowing. We were following a German tourist, of course, from his consent. And we were making some notes about his behavioral peculiarities if he had difficulties finding some information. And also Zunair was playing a role of elderly person, and we were checking the accessibility of hiking trails and the industry for the needs of elderly people.
Okay, so let's see. So after we took the trip, we made kind of an aggregated customer journey. So this is based on the experiences of many different people, and it's supposed to, but we specifically give it the identity of Thierry and Juliette. They're a 30-year-old French couple. They love nature. They're taking a long trip around Europe in their van. And this kind of mimics some of the characteristics we noticed about many of the people who are in the national parks, which is that they had organized their own transport and they were on a much larger trip, of which Estonia was only a small part. So some of the things that people had pointed out that were challenges were that information was very difficult to find in the national parks in English. So signs about the nature that you'd see there, signs about the rules as to how you could engage with the park, whether you could swim or dive, what was allowed and what wasn't. And the roads, of course, that's not something we can really address, but people had said that that was a challenge. And people really did enjoy the nature experience. It's just that there were some little things that they thought could have been better. One of which was that in Soomaa specifically, there was not anywhere that they could get food nearby. So if you weren't prepared, that was quite a challenge. And then one of the most positive experiences was that people enjoyed the free sauna in the woods, which had been made possible by the art students. So some of the main observations that we had about what people do: they use the free sauna, they hike, they take pictures. They see that things are relatively easy to navigate. They enjoy the cheap travel, quality time with companions. They have trouble finding food, have trouble finding things in English. They have some uncertainty about the whole experience. And they think that it's quiet, it's beautiful, and Estonians are quite nice when they encounter them. So out of this, we came up with a single focus, which was developed with the help of the innovation team, which is how might we ensure low maintenance provision of food in national parks all year long and add value to the tourist experience. So the latter part of that is just something that we added because we also want to make the tourist experience in Estonia more attractive. So we collectively brainstormed like everybody else, and we came up with easy, difficult, high and low impact solutions. And some of the more less feasible were drones, delivery from grocery stores, delivery on demand from locals, food baskets, food Tinder, supporting local infrastructure. So most of the things we realized probably we aren't best suited to do. But we did find some of the easier solutions like shared storage facilities, open kitchen, vending machines, etc. And so we brainstormed what these might look like, and we came up with the open kitchen as perhaps the most feasible. And then we prototyped a little bit to see what those designs might look like, and that also gave us some idea as to what the challenges were in making that happen. So.
Thank you. So the selected idea is Open Kitchen, which is a low-tech solution providing food for everyone. And if they bring their own food, they can use that facility. It's a low-tech and low-maintenance infrastructure, similar to saunas, which are already available. And at the same time, food is preserved there, and there are locker provisions through which users can use it. But in order to understand this solution, we would like to show you the user case. But first, let's see how the logo will look like. This is the logo that we came up with for Open Kitchen. And now let's talk about the use case of Thierry and Julia. So these are the guys, same guys who are traveling in Europe, 30 plus, and they're enjoying their time a lot. Traveling nature is their main hobby, and doing activities in national parks and visiting and hiking, these are their main goals. So they go for this trip, and they reach Soomaa National Park. They are enjoying their hiking experience and their time together. And then, all of a sudden, Thierry starts to feel hungry. And he asked Julia, where is the food? But the problem is that Julia forgot to do groceries right before entering Soomaa, and there are no food provisions. So what happened next? She searched immediately, because now their relationship is on stake. So she searched for food. She searched for it, and she found out there are no grocery stores, there are no restaurants, but there is some open kitchen. So what's that? And then she tells it to Thierry that there is an open kitchen, and we're going to have a food experience, an Estonian local food experience in the nature. So after looking into the open kitchen, she visits this website. This is how the website will look like. So basically, what will happen is like these are the three main simple steps. It's a slider which will move, and they will look into more things. But first thing first, they have to find this facility in the forest. Through maps, of course. Then they will discover the local cuisines and the menus which are provided, which I will show in the next slide. And then they will pay for it, and they will receive a locker ID and a password for it, and they can open it and start cooking if they don't have the groceries. And if they have their groceries, they can just simply use the kitchen. So these are the filters that we have just provided to give you an idea that these are the Estonian cuisines or others which they can use. Probably, of course, they will be like preserved foods as well, but that's the best they can have. They don't want to starve if they don't want to starve. This is like one of the testimonial from, let's say, one of the recipes provider. So we just shared it, and then people can give ratings to it as well. And as you can see, we branded it with Visit Estonia so that they know that it's authentic, and of course, social media links are also provided. So once they will, let's say they want to select something and they're there for spring, they select one food item, they open the recipe, they see the ingredients, they want to buy it, they buy it, and then when the request is sent, they will be receiving a locker ID and a PIN code via SMS and email. What will happen next is that they can use this PIN and locker ID and open the locker and start cooking and enjoying their meal together. So Julia basically saved their relationship.
Okay, so starting from this idea, we tested it a bit further. So we conducted a viability study, and on one side was based on validation interviews. From there, we derived some more insight. But overall, a positive reception of our proposal, especially for the uniqueness of the experience that we want to provide. And also, we gathered the idea of connect these people to the food, so to have these testimonials that will, from which we will collect the recipes and then build our proposal. And on the other side, we look into what is already existing. So this picture that you can see is an actual picture of Soomaa with the sauna that is being built by art students from ECA, and also an hotel down there that is still part of this project. So what we want to do is to expand this existing infrastructure. Doing so, we decided to craft this proposal, this prototype, that is this open kitchen that will be in the forest. And for us, it's very interesting that it embodies a spirit of Estonia. So it's a common space, open common space in the forest that rely on users' care. It will be open to everyone, and will be existing because users will take care of it. And of course, we'll take care of the specificities of the place, so the bugs, the fifth season of Soomaa, and it will be built following Estonian contemporary design. Inside, will be based on a traditional soil and low-tech solution. That means that we'll be rely on wooden stove, natural lights or lamps, and we will use the space internally to tell stories of the people, of inhabitants of Estonia, and to explain the recipes that we collect from them. Basically, we want to use digital to serve an analogical experience, because locally there will be mechanical lockers with their furniture and no need for electricity. So this infrastructure can also sustain itself without the need of any digital tool. We want to add this digital experience to expand the experience, but basically can also be there on its own without any other need for digital intervention. So our couple now is in the open kitchen in the forest. They can select the food that they want, can take it out from the lockers, and then they can cook it there. We started a bit to look in one thing that for us was very interesting to understand the recipe, the culinary tradition of Estonia, because we realized that there are many interesting solutions that relies very on low technology and low energy to maintain for long period of time food. So in this case, for example, we look a bit into what they can do with, you can do with marinated mushroom and from collecting herbs from the forest. But there are many other possible solutions for preserving food for long periods of time, so that you can actually go there in the forest, select what you want to do, and then there live this very, very unique experience. It's something that from the beginning we started to focus on finding this way of solving this problem of not having food solution in the forest. But on the other side, what we really wanted to do was to craft a unique experience. So have this place in the middle of the forest where you can find this common shared space and believe something that is really unique because it's based on something that you can only really experience there. That was our main goal, and we found this way to put together this different aspect of it. And then that's it. Thank you for your attention, and we are open to questions.
Any feedback? Any questions?
Hi, I have a question about customer behavior. Does the young couple, like you presented, really start looking from internet the food options in the middle of the forest?
Yes, we observe in our interviews, there were internet there, is good connection there, and we actually found people that were there in Soomaa that were looking for food, and then somehow they were able to manage it because they had something with themselves, but they were actually saying that they would like to experience something local.
Moreover, like for example, if there are no food facilities available, they would not stay there for long. They will leave it and probably go back to Parnu, and this leaves the chance for them to have a long stay in Soomaa and enjoy the place. So that's the reason why we want to bring a unique experience for them, so that they stay there and enjoy their time together, and in that too in nature.
I mean, this I understand, but I wanted to understand that if you are in the middle of the forest, there's nothing around you, and you would start looking from internet, where are there food options? That was my question, the logical point of view, that the development, of course I understand people get hungry when they're in the middle of the forest, but will they start looking for information from app, or should this be informed somehow earlier?
Yeah. So the first thing that everybody do is Google. That's the first thing, and that's where they will figure it out, that there is at least something for them to find it. Though we also believe that we should link this application and this whole system with the existing platforms that are already provided by Visit Estonia and RMK, for example. So we can associate these things with them and probably give a mark of them, because that's the most used application for travelers and hikers. So yeah, that could be done as well.
And also during the verification interviews, one of the insight was that if person can theoretically book accommodation through Airbnb or Booking or whatever in the place, he or she also would expect to find some eating opportunity in that place. And since that was the case, we booked our accommodation through Booking. Like I personally, probably if I went there alone, I wouldn't bring any food. Those were my group that persuaded us to do groceries before, so I would basically starve there.
And I think it depends a lot if you're how you're traveling, and if you have free time and you're traveling by car and you're still very much open to options of where would I end for tonight, especially if you're with a caravan, for example, then you know, the decision of whether will I stay in this camping site will depend on what the facilities are.
Thank you very much for your presentation of experiences. As an Estonian and as a hiker and nature lover, I can absolutely confirm that it is very difficult to find food or a cafe or a restaurant in Soomaa National Park. And just Estonians know that where the small village shops are, so we maybe grab something from the shop or take a boxed lunch or something with you. We just a comment that we often like to think, or we actually do like to think of Estonia as an IT country. And I don't know why somebody hasn't come up with it already, or we use drones, and the drones are already tested for delivering packages. And why not? It would be a very good selling point connecting Estonian nature and IT technology, that you could advertise this, someone living close to Soomaa National Park, to advertise to people taking a hike, that you can press a button and you can order a drone fetched lunch or something, a delivery to your hiking path or a camping place. Why not? Yeah. I think it could be very realistic in the coming years, or in 5 years or in 10 years. I don't know about the regularities or regulations about using this drone in national parks. I think if there are any, but this is, it might sound a crazy idea, but isn't it true that sometimes we need very crazy ideas to be out of the box and be having an opportunity to live, combine these IT and nature experiences, and to make a mark that this is something crazy you can do in Estonia.
Thank you so much for the comment. Actually, we did think about the drones, And because that technology is not complete yet, because as we all know that, delivering the exact thing at the same spot and keeping the ecosystem and the environment and the wildlife, drones have like a lot of noise and stuff. So we also need to keep that thing in mind as well. And apart from that, I truly agree that yes, it goes exactly with the branding of Estonia, because that's a really IT initiated thing, but it's not yet complete. And you're right, it will probably take more than 4 or 5 years or so in order to get it get it ready for the exact spot delivery of food. But again, right now, because at this very moment, or let's say in like right now this thing is not implementable, and at the same time we were concerned about the ecosystem itself, because the noise and the stuff will disturb the wildlife, and we don't want it to do that. That's why we didn't. Of course, we will be waiting for that, and then we will probably, then of course that would be the most viable solution for that time. Yeah.
Yes, was actually we had like two main options. One was the drones, the other was the one we selected. And as you can see there, we were thinking about drones. But one other big concern was that we wanted a solution for that areas to be always there, because those areas are very low populated areas where there aren't stable infrastructure. Drones can be very useful, very flexible, but they can't work in any weather conditions. So especially for the winter months, there would be this period without this service. And we've done some research in it. We've seen that they are starting to develop drone solution for some islands in Estonia. So it's also something that is already going. Probably somewhere in the future we will arrive at the point where there will be this solution. But it's like we decided to go in another direction because no one was going in the other direction.
There, just to add to what you said, that we had discussions also about whether drone or whether food seller guys, anyways, or open kitchen. But the idea that we actually reached up was that whether the problem was that people won't find any food was one aspect, but actually the solution that you ended up wasn't actually solving sort of the problem itself, but actually taking a look at it from another perspective, that providing an added value or creating a new experience to hiking, that you would go to hiking and you can cook the food at the place. You wouldn't need to even take any food, because with preparation you can always etc., right? But so you sort of took another direction to it, and I think that was very nice of you to because finding food, as we talked, also there are other ways to solve this problem. But my question maybe for you is, what happened to the food seller? And you still need electricity though.
Yeah, for electricity, we were coming up with like different ideas like solar panels, but there's like not much sun here, and then we ended up with deciding like the natural lamps with like kerosene and stuff. Of course, food seller idea is still there, but that would be like in our implementation part, where we would also like to, we were also trying to involve local. There are like 55 people from one of our, the comment that we got from a local there, that there are only 55 people in the whole Soomaa. So we were thinking about involving them as well, like having some social events, or they could come and cook for our guests, our tourists, and in that they will be compensated, like the meals that they are going to buy, we can provide the share to them, and they could do that for them. That would be like involving them as well. Food seller, of course, is the idea, but we just wanted to have like to show that how it could be like self-sustainable if there is like still no person, or hiring or adding a seller, because we also know that there are not a lot of people or like a lot of traveling there, so it would be really difficult for someone to sell. Of course, they need some compensation as well. So that's why we just kept it for a while. But this is what we wanted to share for now.
Yes, just to brief, we had in the middle we had an idea about pantry or saffer, sort of also to put it into an Estonian cultural context. And there seems to be one more question there, but also I would very much also say that how much I appreciate your project, being also a nature lover and a foodie. And I think when you're traveling, you don't really have to rely on instant noodles. And I think adding that sort of a food experience to conditions where you are really in the nature, I think it's a tremendous idea. And when we were thinking about how to stock, for example, these pantries or saffer, then the Estonian tradition, we have so many fermented and canned foods which we could last for years in these cupboards, so it doesn't have to be like stocked on weekly basis. So I think there is definitely some you have something.
Yeah, in the forest there are animals like bears and the others. So that's the thing that they will not get that food before the traveler.
Yeah, we actually thought about that, and because there are like existing facility, for example, there are huts. When you see the RMK sites, you find huts, the camping sites, the places where these saunas are. So we actually believe that we have to use the existing facilities to make these things, because they pretty much look like the same, but we just added a few more things. So in that way, I think we will eliminate the experience, like the animal attacks and stuff, or.
Yes, but we've done some research. We've seen that, for example, in the United States, in parks, it's very common to have lockers, especially for that purpose, so to prevent animals to go into the tent of people and eat their food. So in that sense, having a facility there is useful, because then you can store your food safely. We've done some research on it, and we say, okay, they are doing it.
Right. If I could just add to the reason why we chose to do like a facility as opposed to like underground storage of food is that another observation we had was that there was really a need, not necessarily need, but we saw an opportunity to add value by having communal spaces, because a lot of the experiences that people rated as the most positive while they were traveling were those where they met new people. So we thought maybe creating more spaces and linking them with the existing infrastructure also makes like a permanent campsite. So something to attract more people. Especially, you may have noticed from our interviews, there aren't many solo travelers to the national parks. And particularly in some of the interviews that I did, I found that solo female travelers are more reluctant to go to national parks, for example, by themselves in a country that they don't know. So trying to make more opportunities for people to meet each other is part of this.
Thank you very much, and we have one more group.